Our first widespread accumulating snow event is underway, along with the coldest air of the season to follow. We're going to speak on the snow part first and the cold air part second, but we're going to provide a lot of information on the snow part. Give you guys a state-by-state breakdown. For example, if you just want to hear about Ohio, there'll be a timestamp up for that. If you just want to hear about Kentucky or Tennessee, there'll be a timestamp up for that. And in those timestamps, we'll provide a timeline of this and how much snow you could potentially get with this event. So utilize those timestamps. They're there to help you guys, and chances are you're going to get the information you're looking for. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So let's look at current conditions off the radar. There's two things ongoing. One is this area of energy right here, kind of moving at the base of this trough. This is pumping out some pretty heavy moisture on the warm air side. You got rain, which is what you're seeing here in the greens, the yellows, and the reds. This is just a cold, chilly rain. The further south you get, the warmer the rain gets, if you will. But once you start to get on the cold air side of this, you see the blue colors here. This is snow. So let me know what you're seeing in southern lower Michigan, northern Indiana, northwest Ohio right now. Show at least some moderate snow flying around, and this energy will continue to move up into southern areas of Ontario. Quebec will get the development of an all-out winter storm that will continue over the next 36 hours or so. It looks like the northeast part of this is going to just be too warm, except areas of the Adirondacks and northern Vermont, New Hampshire, where you guys are starting to experience a wintry mix or just flat out snow this morning. Now, once you get up here, this is just about purely lake effect snow stuff, and especially in the UP of Michigan. This is your the beginning stages of your first significant lake effect snow events of the season here in the UP. And this is kind of a combination of both, coming off Lake Michigan. Really, this isn't the main event for you guys in Chicago. So if you're waking up to some snow flying around out in Chicago, this is kind of just the pre-event, kind of the back-end moisture trailing this main energy right here. We could have an epic lake effect snow band that's going to set up in this area over the next 24 to 36 hours. It's going to be an extremely challenging forecast. But once you get down south, down here to Kentucky, Tennessee, this has not started yet, but you guys are going to see snow over the next 24 hours. Let's move past this. Just wanted to show you guys, current conditions. Let's start it off west to east. Well, technically we'll go west, then down to the south, then kind of back to the northeast. So remember, utilize those timestamps. If you don't really care much about the state of Wisconsin because you don't live here, then just jump ahead. But let's start off in Wisconsin first. The main event's pretty much done. But as we continue to move forward here, we start to get into, say, this afternoon, we could get some lake effect snow that gets going in Ironwood. You guys could get several inches of snow. And this afternoon, you guys could get some snow showers and flurries across northern areas of Wisconsin. And we continue to move forward here in time, 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Just some snow showers drifting around, some festive flakes is what I like to call it across the state of Wisconsin. But, nothing heavy or anything like that. We got to watch Milwaukee down here at the bottom of your screen. Could you guys kind of get nipped by a lake effect snow band or some banding features coming off Lake Michigan? Absolutely. For example, Milwaukee shows some snow moving in. This is around 11 p.m. tonight. Could give you guys a burst of snow, maybe some accumulating snow off this. I think it's very possible for a few hours. And, then we start to get into, say, tomorrow morning and just some festive flakes flying around. Nothing too heavy at all. I think that you guys are pretty much out of the woods with any kind of significant event outside the lake effect snow driven areas. So how much snow, additional snow, could you see between now and 6 a.m. Wednesday? Up here in northern areas of Wisconsin, a few to several inches of snow is possible here in this yellow area, which is kind of south of Ironwood. Maybe a half a foot of snow, but elsewhere kind of an inch or less, some flurries here and there. But as you can tell, Milwaukee, 3 inches or less of snow. It's a tough forecast. It does some of that kind of banding features of snow kind of come off Lake Michigan, nip you guys a little bit, give you guys a quick 1 to 3 inches of snow. It's very possible. But continue to move forward here. Let's go to Michigan now. This is when it's going to get rowdy. It's already doing so right now as we got this band going right into Marquette this morning. And as we are starting to get into this afternoon, If you're wondering about the timestamp, look up here because I'm going to forget to mention it sometimes. This is around 3 p.m. this afternoon. 4, 5, 6, 7. We're getting into this evening. You can see just lake effect snow bands kind of drifting around. Not really anchored over one specific area, but they will definitely kind of move over some of the same areas, like around the Marquette area. And that's why some of the most snow is forecast in this region. But we get into the wee hours of the morning tomorrow morning, and then we get into tomorrow. Some more lake effect snow bands will start to pivot in and affect you guys and just add up those snow totals. And does some of these banding features kind of position themselves over the same areas for a long period of time? Very possible. But we get into tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, and things should begin to taper off a little bit as we're starting to get into late tomorrow night, into Tuesday morning. And then we could have maybe some more Clipper energy that sort of swings through, kind of pads the snow stats, if you will, throughout this area. Now we drop it on down into lower Michigan. We're getting some of that snow this morning from that first area of energy that's beginning to move through. As we continue to move throughout the morning hours through about midday, here's some lake effect stuff coming off Lake Michigan, affecting Traverse City down to just basically down the entire eastern shoreline of Lake Michigan. And we continue to move forward here. Some kind of a mixture of both. Some stuff coming off Lake Huron, Lake Michigan, kind of clashing in between both of these. So this is this afternoon. We keep this in motion. And pivotal weather can be a little finicky sometimes. And we continue to get into this evening. You can see just a lot of snow showers. And basically all this is kind of lake enhanced. I mean, lower Michigan surrounded, except from the south by, the Great Lakes. So you're getting some boost from the Great Lakes here. And, we continue just some festive flakes flying around this evening. Definitely a more winter-like scene. And some areas, especially in central Michigan, could provide a dusting to a couple inches. But certainly if you're closer up against some of the Great Lakes, like Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, you could get more snow. But as we are starting to get into later tonight, really into tomorrow morning, maybe a little bit of a break. And then we got to watch this lake effect snow band that comes off Lake Michigan, sort of pivots its way, kind of not as common, I would say. It's coming off kind of the northern section right here of Lake Michigan. So it kind of gets over areas of western lower Michigan, affects you guys that live in this region, and then kind of tries to get all the way down to Chicago, which we'll talk about here in a second. And then once the position of the trough changes, as we're getting into tomorrow afternoon, Grand Rapids, Muskegon, hopefully I said that right, maybe even all the way down to Kalamazoo, still in Traverse City, begins to get maybe some more accumulating snow from this. And then we start to get into late tomorrow evening, and everything begins to position itself and kind of pull a little bit more so to the northwest, to the southeast, as we are starting to get into tomorrow evening. So, yeah, I mean, even some lingering stuff as we are getting into late tomorrow night. So, snowfall, this is the forecast for the UP of Michigan. And a lot of snow is expected in these favored areas for sure. So this is what you're looking like, another 8 to 13 inches of snow forecast. And this was updated yesterday, so some of this has already fell for sure. And then dropping it down into lower Michigan, if you can look right here, western areas of lower Michigan like Ludington, that's what I'm talking about, that banding feature. It could be just tucked into western sections of lower Michigan, the eastern shoreline of Lake Michigan. It's going to be a tricky forecast for a lot of these areas. Wherever these banding features set up, certainly a trick to figure out here. But you can see once you get, kind of tucked into central lower Michigan, got some widespread totals expected. Lansing, 1 to 4 inches. And when was this updated? Let me look up here. This was updated at 6:15 this morning. So this is a pretty new update here. But Saginaw, 2 to 6 inches. Grand Rapids, 1 to 3. You're very close to some heavier totals. Just depends on how, like I said, I'm going to keep saying this over and over again in this video, how close does your specific area get to these lake effect snow bands? You guys know all about this in Michigan. I don't have to explain this to you guys. I talk like I've never even been to Michigan before, but just kind of watching the weather in this area. I love lake effect snows and discussing them. But Kalamazoo, 2 to 5 inches of snow. Benton Harbor, 4 to 6. I do want to mention though, if you're like right up against the shoreline of Lake Michigan or any Great Lake, whether it's Superior, Huron, Erie, Ontario, whatever it may be. You got to deal with some of that microclimate stuff, meaning kind of the warmer water sometimes creates a mixing issue. So I do want to note that sometimes you can probably go 5 to 10 miles away from the coastline and you might have significantly more snow. So it just depends on where you live, right? But here's some southern areas of lower Michigan: 1 to 4 in Jackson, Ann Arbor, 1 to 4 inches here. So we continue to move forward here and look at areas of Detroit, Pontiac, 2 to 4 in Detroit. Let me know what you're seeing in this area. Flint, 2 to 4 inches of snow. All right, so this is an area that's tricky. And, what we're going to do is we're honestly just going to look at the NAM here. There's no point in kind of doubling up on, on model guidance here. I think the NAM is handling this pretty well right now. So we'll start off this morning. Timeline is up here. If I forget to mention it, Sunday, 10 a.m. Central Time. Hopefully you can see your town name pretty well on here. But as we're starting to get into this afternoon, as you can tell, we got some sort of banding feature right here. Not really lake effect snow, kind of lake enhanced, I like to use the term. But Lafayette, Indianapolis, starting to get some snow. Bloomington, this afternoon, some snow trying to work in. So some flakes will be flying around. Could this accumulate? Absolutely. But this is your first kind of punch of snow, opportunity of snow that you'll get. You'll get another opportunity here as we continue to move this forward. But South Bend starting to get some snow. Chicago, you get a little bit of a break this evening. But look at all these snow shower and light snow activity working its way through Indiana. Little bit of flurry light snow activity as far west as Peoria, Galesburg maybe. And then if you put your eyes right here, this is when that epic lake effect snow band could get going, as that real chilly Arctic air flows over these lakes up here. And you see these areas sort of in like pink, purple. This is extremely heavy lake effect snow, and it's going to be an extremely tough forecast from Chicago to Gary to South Bend, anybody in between. And then this is when that banding feature is going to set up. And this is 1 a.m. tonight. This is 2 a.m. This is getting closer to 4 a.m. I know it looks like just a scrawny band of snow, but listen, whoever gets hit by this will get extremely heavy snow, and it'll accumulate like anywhere from 1 to 2 inch rates per hour. So I do want to mention, Fort Wayne still getting some snow. Indianapolis, Bloomington could get just a long period of light snow to moderate snow activity, at least some flurries. But where does this lake effect snow band set up? It's extremely challenging forecast for Chicago. You're waking up tomorrow morning to just a pretty wild banding feature that's going to set up somewhere. It's just trying to figure out who's going to get this. And it doesn't look like it lasts very long. We start to get into tomorrow evening, and these lake effect snow bands will begin to pivot more so into Michigan, further east and northern areas of Indiana. And we'll have to watch for additional snowfall accumulations on like Fort Wayne. And this is getting into, all the way out into 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Tuesday. And things should begin to calm down. But, man, this is the latest forecast. This was issued at 5:15. Let's see if there is a new update. I doubt it. There is a new update, but it didn't change much. But 8 to 15 inches of snow is forecast in Chicago. It's an extremely tough forecast, and I was joking around yesterday morning about the 1 to 15. They've narrowed it down a little bit, but Juliet 2 to 6. I'm telling you, a few miles is going to make a huge difference in Chicago, guys. Can't say that enough. A huge difference. But we get down here, not going to try to pronounce that. You guys were trying to help me in the comments yesterday, but I haven't really had a chance to read all the comments. But this area between Chicago all the way to South Bend going to get rocked by a pretty epic early season lake effect snow band. Knox 6 to 16 inches of snow. This could be very dangerous, and you can tell how it just wraps around the entire base of Lake Michigan here. 8 to 15 in Chicago. I don't know. It's going to be a tough forecast, but to kind of bog it down a little bit further south in Illinois here, this is what you're looking at. And then to move over into Indiana, South Bend, 6 to 8 inches of snow. Laporte, not sure how y'all pronounce that, 12 to 18. Rochester, 4 to 6. Fort Wayne, 3 to 4. So some heavy snowfall totals expected, even in this area. And let's update this. This is nothing's changed. Lafayette, 1 to 2. And we'll drop it down a little bit further south. Some of these areas, I keep having to take breaks, guys. I'm definitely not feeling 100% this morning or yesterday morning, so sorry about the interruptions. If you're new to the channel, you're like, dude, this guy does not have it together at all. I'm just not feeling the best this morning. But Indianapolis, inch or less, but I could see more snow than that actually falling. This will be a tricky area, central Indiana. You guys could get a little bit of a surprise. It depends on just who has an opportunity to see longer periods of snow. Portland, 1 to 3 inches of snow. Marion, 1 to 3. So we'll see what this area can get. You know, I know Evansville is not on the screen here, but you guys could get some flurries. But moving into Ohio, what are you guys looking like? Well, this main energy will continue to pivot out. Cold air will follow in. It'll get very cold throughout the afternoon and evening. And some lake effect stuff could get going off Lake Erie that will affect Cleveland and maybe even all the way down to Mansfield, Akron. You know, we're getting into this evening, but a lot of that cold air has not spilled over yet. So this could actually be lake effect rain in Cleveland initially. And then we get into later in this evening, and then the cold air starts to kind of really spill in this evening. This is around 11 p.m. You see the snow flying around throughout the state of Ohio, really. And we get into tomorrow morning. We just got rounds of burst of snow, basically. You know, you see these kind of darker blue areas. These are more heavier rounds of snow. And then we get later into tomorrow morning. It's getting around lunchtime tomorrow. I mean, look at southern areas of Ohio, Cincinnati, Columbus, Dayton, you know, all the way down to Portsmouth, not sure how y'all pronounce it down there. But we're getting just a period of flat out snow in the middle of the day tomorrow. It might let off the gas a little bit up here in Cleveland, but you could get an additional round of lake effect stuff tomorrow evening. And see this band that kind of sets up over Cleveland. It's around 10 p.m. tomorrow night, and maybe some more snow could drift throughout this area tomorrow. It's late tomorrow night, I would say. But, you know, if you do flip this and sort of look at the NAM model here, and we're going to have to actually flip it here. I love when it logs me out for no reason at all. That's always really awesome. That's pure sarcasm, guys. If you look, oh, this is taking forever. If you look at the NAM, I'm just trying to get you guys as much information as possible. I mean, look at the NAM. The NAM is much more aggressive with just widespread snow across Ohio this evening. I mean, just has snow everywhere. It's a pretty big difference here. And then once we get into tonight, and then once we get into tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow afternoon, it kind of follows up with the HRRR model was showing with just snow mainly for the southern areas of Ohio. But let's back this up. Look at this for later on this evening. Just shows widespread snow across the state of Ohio. So that's a pretty impressive difference there in the short term. And then we kind of have this streamer, kind of a lake connection here, some northwest flow that moves throughout Ohio tomorrow evening and provides some additional opportunities for some snow. So how much snow could you guys get in northern Ohio? This is what you're forecasting as of right now. Cleveland, 2 inches. Chardon, 5 inches of snow. And then we drop it down into central and southern areas of Ohio. And listen, these areas could get a little bit more than what's being forecast. It just depends on what model is right. And I'm just trying to give you guys updated information. Yeah, into Columbus, I mean, that's pretty impressive for early November standards. But this is what you're looking like in this area. Now, if we knock it down to Kentucky and Tennessee and these areas, we're actually just going to switch this and look at the NAM. Let's just do this. Sorry I keep going back and forth, guys. But there's no point in showing a bunch of model runs here. Changing my mind as I go throughout the video here. But we're getting this afternoon. Some moisture is going to begin to move through Kentucky, and some of this rain will begin to switch to some snow this evening. So Lexington, Louisville, Elizabethtown, some snow, and it's even wanting to show some snow even down into the Cumberland Plateau as early as this evening. Even some flakes trying to show up in northern Mississippi and Alabama. Look at these flurries west of Nashville. And then we start to get into the overnight hours, maybe a little bit of a break, and then the main kind of back-end energy begins to pivot through. And this is like tomorrow afternoon. Widespread snow showers and light, even bursts of moderate snow throughout eastern half of Kentucky, down into the Cumberland Plateau. Look at northeast Tennessee getting these snow showers. and could end as a pretty nice burst of snow tomorrow afternoon across areas of eastern Kentucky. And then that's about it. Now, let's knock it down into, Alabama and Mississippi too. Look, I mean, later this evening, this is 10 p.m. tonight, some snow showers are possible, some flurries down to Huntsville, northeast Alabama. You got some like higher mountaintops in this region, some favorite areas, and it even shows some flurries as far south as Gadsden, Alabama, like in the middle of the night tonight. So I don't know if you want to stay up for that, but something to watch. And then as we're getting into tomorrow morning, shows some additional flurries showing up in northern Alabama. And I mean, check this out. Even some maybe heavier, I wouldn't say heavy snow, but maybe some burst of snow up here in northeast Alabama, even northern areas of Georgia, as we are starting to move. And I mean, even show some flurries down to Atlanta. I mean, this is 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon too. So, I mean, it continues to show the idea of some stuff here too. So, something to watch. Looking at Kentucky, this is what they're going for. Lexington, an inch or less. Maysville, 1 to 3 inches of snow. And not, world-beating totals or anything like that, but certainly impressive for early November. And then this is the rest of eastern Kentucky. Widespread kind of 1 to 2 inch snowfall totals. Black Mountain, higher elevations. Favored region 6 to 8. Harlan, got a guy I follow that lives in Harlan, Kentucky. Appreciate him very much. He always provides some photos and videos out of this area, but 1 to 2 inches of snow forecasted, so that's pretty nice. Heading down into Middle Tennessee, nothing's forecast, but this entire area, guys, could get some flurries. So I would expect something. For example, down to the southern Cumberland Plateau. Not calling for any snowfall accumulations, but I wouldn't be surprised one bit we get some flurries and some light snow, even that could add up to a dusting. This is the latest forecast for eastern Tennessee. Gatlinburg, about inch and a half of snow. Kingsport, half an inch. Mountain City, inch, maybe in some change. Greenville, maybe around an inch of snow. Knoxville to Morristown, I mean, maybe a couple tenths of an inch of snow, but this area could overachieve. Let's give you some updated information, see if anything's changed. It does not. This will be a tricky area to figure out for sure. And listen, this is the HRRR model as far as what it's forecasting, and it wants to dump a few inches of snow on the Cumberland Plateau, but even like half inch to several tenth of an inch of snow totals, can't talk, into Middle Tennessee. Even shows a little streamer that gets an inch of snow in northeast Alabama. Do I believe that? Probably not. But listen, events like this can overachieve. And if we're looking at the NAM, what does it show? It makes a little bit more sense. NAM likes to overdo northwest flow events, though. But it really pinpoints where the Cumberland Plateau is in this area. So we'll certainly watch, and kind of moving into North Carolina, Virginia, and we'll also include portions of South Carolina, and I'll tell you why here in a second. You're about to see why. But as we're starting to get into this afternoon, this evening, nothing's going on. Way too warm for any snow. Then you can see some blue showing up on your map. This is getting into the middle of the night tonight, and this is getting into tomorrow morning. We're starting to see some snow kind of rub up against there the Smokies and the mountains of North Carolina, Tennessee. And as we continue to move forward here, you can see more widespread snow on the western side of this map here. And this is when some snow has an opportunity to start to fall really in the western areas of the North Carolina mountains here. And snow could definitely fall definitely earlier in this, probably sometime tonight. So, some snow will be possible in Asheville, Maggie Valley, Waynesville, all the smaller towns here in western North Carolina. And look, even showing some snow down here in Gainesville, some flurries, Gainesville, Georgia. And even some flurries and light snow showers showing to try to make it into upstate South Carolina. And then we start to get into, and this is the HRRR model, by the way. If I called this the NAM, my bad. What's interesting about the HRRR model, guys, is as we're starting to wrap up kind of as far out as we can go, which is this right here. This is 1 a.m. Tuesday morning, so late tomorrow night into Tuesday morning. It wants to blossom some more moisture east of the Appalachian Mountains. Even has kind of a kind of some flurries right here in northern areas of South Carolina, western North Carolina here. But look at this area of snow that it gets going from Greensboro to Raleigh down to Fayetteville. This is very interesting to me. The new run of the long-range HRRR model is about to run, but does show some snow still flying around near, kind of west of Roanoke into Western Virginia. But this has my attention here. So now if you do look at the NAM with this, let's see. Let's go like this, like that. What does the NAM shows? The NAM kind of favor a scenario like that. Here comes all that snow riding into western areas of Virginia and starting to, hit Roan Mountain, the Smokies here. Some of these will begin to break containment. This is what I'm talking about. Look down here. You see some blue down here, some splotchy blues here in North Carolina. This is 7 p.m. tomorrow. This is where an opportunity for some flurries could break containment east of the mountains and provide some snow showers. And yes, the NAM does show the idea like what the HRRR model is showing. This is tomorrow around 11 p.m. Some snow, Greensboro to Raleigh, Danville, Roanoke, up to Richmond. Shows the idea, eventually getting all the way to Greenville, Elizabeth City, Virginia Beach. And, I think it's very possible. And, if we are looking at the experts, the National Weather Service forecast at Greenville, Spartanburg, here's a graphic here. And we got some winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings up for these areas, which I need to pull up. I have forgotten to pull up that. But it's hard to see. They don't have a zoomed in graphic, but, over a foot of snow is possible in the Smokies, depending on where you live. And I know a lot of people don't live in the Smokies, but you got to get 5,000-6,000 feet up. But inch or less totals in Waynesville, Asheville, things like that. Bryson City saying 1 to 2 inches of snow. We'll see if that actually happens. And then you look at these graphics here, and this is another graphic from the National Weather Service out of Greenville. Just is not kind of zoomed into some of these towns. And listen, this is the HRRR model, and the final, right at the end of the HRRR model, it shows some accumulating snow adding up here in areas of central North Carolina. And if you look at the NAM right here shows some of that dusting amounts up here in southern Virginia, northern North Carolina also. Look at that heavy stuff in those favored higher elevated regions of North Carolina and Virginia and Tennessee. So West Virginia, you guys are going to get hit by a pretty gnarly event in this region. And in fact, we're just going to show you the NAM in this area. And we're getting into, this is this evening. Look at this big area of snow hitting you guys. We start to get into tomorrow morning. Definitely a snowy scene. Charleston getting some snow. Huntington, Parkersburg, Morgantown, you're probably going to start to get some snow. This is getting into tomorrow evening. Heavier stuff. Allegheny Mountains will get a little bit. And then you get another round, into the wee hours of the morning, Tuesday morning. And just continues. So snow also into areas of northern VA and then the DC corridor, Maryland. Could you guys get any? I think it's very possible. And we're going to take this all the way into, this is all the way out to 1 a.m. Tuesday. Doesn't show much, but if we do switch this to the NAM, we'll go on and move it all the way forward here, and we get into Monday afternoon. We start to get into the wee hours of the morning, Tuesday morning, like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I do think some flurries will be possible across this entire area. This specific model just does not show much at all. How much snow is forecast? Let's update this, see if we got any new information. And yeah, snowshoe, over a half a foot of snow is possible. Charleston, West Virginia, which sometimes it's tough to get accumulating snow in this area. 2 inches of snow. Spencer, Summersville, 3 to 4 inches of snow. Beckley, 2 to 3 inches of snow. This is the Virginia forecast here in Western Virginia. Wytheville, a couple tenths of an inch. Bluefield, inch or two of snow. Boone, inch of snow. So, and then moving into PA. I'm running out of gas with this video. This is a long-winded video. This is what you're looking like in PA. You can see the lake effect snow in Erie starting off, and this is getting into later in tonight. This is getting into Monday morning, and doesn't show a whole lot. Some flurries drifting around. But some lake effect snow could get going in Erie really tomorrow evening. But I don't think this will be a super significant event by Erie standards at all. Jamestown could get some snow, and this is getting into the early morning hours of Tuesday. Some snow showers drifting around, even in Pittsburgh, Grove City, State College, even some snow getting all the way down to Williamsport, Scranton as we're getting into tomorrow morning. So some heavier banding features could go all the way into Tuesday afternoon. Also, it's not done after that. We're still seeing snow well into Tuesday. But this is another look here. Erie about 2 inches. Lake Erie is still kind of warm. So the immediate Erie area between now and 7 a.m. Wednesday might not get as much snow, but you get just south of Erie over a half a foot to maybe even a foot of snow as possible. And then we start to move to the rest of PA. This is what you're looking at here. Pause the screen if you need to. And then we look at New York. Round of heavier moisture will move through. Too warm for snow, but it could switch to some heavy snow right at the end in Buffalo later this afternoon. This is 5 p.m. showing some snow in Buffalo on the NAM. A low pressure riding through. Cold air is trying to catch up. Might get a little bit of a lull later tonight. And then we get into tomorrow morning. And a little bit of a calm throughout tomorrow afternoon. Then we could start to get some lake effect snow. Kind of north of Buffalo into Rochester, Syracuse. This could favor this area. This is later tomorrow evening. And could get some heavier lake effect snow bands here in the Rochester, Syracuse, Tuck Hill Plateau. But the way this positions could favor Rochester, Syracuse, and anybody in between. This is 5 a.m. Tuesday, and this is continuing. And, this only goes out to 1 p.m. Tuesday, but, we're still getting snow into Vermont, New York, areas of New York everywhere. So it could be a long period of just precipitation in this area, but snowfall between now and 1 p.m. Monday. This is all it goes out to. This is what it's showing. And then this is northern New York and areas of Vermont. This is what it's showing. And then this is what the NAM is showing between now and this goes out to about 1 p.m. Tuesday. So Syracuse, 3 to 4 inches of snow. Rochester, kind of same thing. But you can see this is lake effect driven based off these banding features. And then, Maine, the rest of Vermont, New Hampshire, we'll take a look at the Euro, and big area of rain will move in and some cold air will try to catch up. And this is getting into 10 p.m. tomorrow. And as cold air kind of pivots in, I think winter really takes over early to midway this week you can say now, as just kind of rounds of moisture. I don't think we're going to get a whole lot up here of anything, but this is how much snow you could get between now and about 7 a.m. Wednesday. Not a big event, just with the way this is positioned. But this is snow forecast in northern Maine. And, I do want to mention, guys, and I didn't really bring this up, and I'm going to do it on the fly. This video has already been kind of messy. So we might as well just embrace the messiness of it. Trying to remember how to get to all this. In fact, we're just going to do it this way. There is winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories that are up, folks. In fact, if you look right here, we have winter storm warnings up for Chicago. Winter weather advisories are up for these purple areas, and this teal color north of Chicago is winter storm watches. So they're watching winter storm watches up for Cleveland. And you see the scattered winter weather advisories. And then we'll drop it down a little bit further to the south. And we do have winter weather advisories for the favorite areas of the mountains of North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia. Even some winter storm warnings up for the Smokies, Highlands of West Virginia. So we do have these freeze watches up for all these light blue counties and freeze warnings up. And this pretty much follows up with what we're about to talk about here. These are high temperatures for today, folks. 80 degrees is possible in Columbia. But you're only going to be in the 40s, kind of west of the Appalachian Mountains. Then check out the forecast highs for tomorrow. Look how dramatic they drop. Almost a 30 degree drop from today to tomorrow in places like Columbia, surrounding regions. Areas of northern Georgia and northern Alabama will not get out the 30s for highs, guys. Areas of the Cumberland Plateau will not get above freezing for high temperatures. So this is Tuesday. This is Wednesday. Things moderate very fast, and these are projected low temperatures, and it's dropped. For example, 80 degree high today, and I keep mentioning Columbia. That's where I live. 80 degree high today, but by tomorrow morning it'll be 42 degrees. It's almost a 40 degree temperature drop. So these are low temperatures predicted tomorrow. These are low temperatures predicted for Tuesday morning. They've continued to drop this. Now we're going for the low 20s in areas of the Carolinas, the teens across the Mid-South. I mean, this is some chilly conditions, guys. So that's all I got. I do apologize for the messiness of that video. I had to stop it many times, but could not get it going. I don't feel that good. Turns out that I have pink eye. That's why I'm wearing my glasses. I know, don't pick on me. I know there's a jokes around pink eye, and just don't feel the best, guys. So I've been having to muscle through these videos, and went to the urgent care yesterday, got the medicine I need for it. So hopefully it clears out. So I definitely would appreciate prayers for it. But that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all, and have a wonderful day.